Hello everyone, GatAfterMath97 for you again today, and welcome to another Valve source code tutorial. This time around I'm going to demonstrate how to fix VGUI screens. So basically these are screens with interactable buttons, and when you press a button something happens. So it's almost like having a Func button in your hammer map, but it's tied to a VGUI screen instead. So an example of a game that has these kind of screens is Sin Episodes Emergence. There's plenty of examples, whether it's opening doors or an elevator, a multi-story, multi-floor elevator in Supremacy Tower, the health dispensers. Plenty of examples of these kind of screens in action in that game. Definitely worth checking out. So you want to go to your mod's source code. So in my case, I'm doing something slightly different, and I'm using the Source SDK 2013 Single Player Community Edition, which is set up to work in Visual Studio 2019. So yeah, you don't need that. You can use the regular 2013 source code and follow along. So the first thing you want to do is go to the file in_buttons.h, and near the bottom of this file you want to add hashtag define in_valid VGUI input, and then in rounded brackets 1, then 2 less than signs, and whatever the next number in sequential order is. So in my case it's number 26. Then you want to go to in_main.cpp, and inside cinput : create move, you want to add cmd arrow buttons, then a vertical line equals in_valid VGUI input above g_p client mode arrow create move input sample frame time and cmd. Then you want to go to c_baseplayer.cpp, and inside the determine VGUI input mode function, you want to change the instances where it says p_cmd arrow buttons and equals, and there's in attack and in attack 2. And after in attack 2, do another one of these vertical lines and add in_valid VGUI input. Then you want to go to c_VGUI screen.cpp, and inside of the client think function, above m_b lose think next frame equals true, you want to add something along the lines of for int I equals 0, I less than p panel arrow get child count I++, and I'll leave the code on the screen so you can look into it. It's basically what I outline here is what you want to do. And it goes without saying I'm using the Valve Developer Wiki fixing VGUI screens for Source 2007, since this goes into a little more detail about getting this to work. The only issue with this is that it uses an m_b was triggered, and that doesn't exist. So if you're following along with the Source 2007 tutorial on the Valve Developer Wiki, then that is not what you want to include here. But everything else is pretty much what you want. And so the next thing we're going to want to do is go to in_main.cpp, and inside extra mouse sample, you want to find where it says create move, frame time, and then cmd, and after the cmd you want to put a comma and then true, and then go to iClientMode.h and add in a new create move. Basically copy and paste the create move, but add a ball b VGUI update after cmd. Then you want to go to clientmode_shared.h and c_base_hlplayer.h and do the same sort of thing. Copy and paste the create move function that's outlined, but add a ball b VGUI update. Now it goes without saying that you may get errors with some of the things I'm going to say after this, unless you do the same thing also for c_baseplayer.h. So in that file, add in the ball b VGUI update after the create move and have the default create move existent also. So with that, go to clientmode_shared.cpp And effectively all you want to do is change the existing create move to have a bool BVGUI update at the top with the client mode shared : create move, and then return p player, you want to add BVGUI update at the end of that, and then create bool client mode shared : create move of just float fl input sample time and cuser cmd asterisk cmd, and just do return create move of fl input sample time cmd and false. Inside of c_base hl player.cpp, you want to change the create move here to pretty much the same thing. So add a bool BVGUI update at the end of c_base hl player : create move, and then create another bool c_base hl player : create move of just float fl input sample time, cuser cmd asterisk pcmd, and then just return create move of sample time pcmd and false. So then if you go to c_base player.cpp, then above the create move here, you just want to create the basic create move, so bool c_base player : create move of float fl input sample time and cuser cmd asterisk pcmd, and then return create move of fl input sample time pcmd and false. And then below that, it should say the same thing, but at the end of the create move with all the code in it, and just add bool BVGUI update. Then you want to go down to where it says determine VGUI mode, and you want to replace it with if BVGUI update, then bool temp VGUI mode equals is in VGUI input mode, then determine VGUI input mode of pcmd, and then if temp VGUI mode equals exclamation mark is in VGUI input mode, then if is in VGUI input mode, then do engine arrow client cmd, and then in speech marks VGUI mode underscore true, else engine arrow client cmd, and then in speech marks VGUI mode underscore false. So now you want to go to c_VGUI screen.cpp, and where it's got cutl dict and then key values, you want to do cutl vector, and then in the less than and greater than signs, c_VGUI screen asterisk, and call it g_p VGUI screens. In the constructor, which is c_VGUI screen : c_VGUI screen, at the very bottom of that you want to do g_p VGUI screens.add to tail this, and then in the destructor, which is the same thing except there's a tilde in front of the second c_VGUI screen, you want to add g_p VGUI screens.find and remove this. Then later on in the code, you should see a function that goes something like c_base entity asterisk find nearby VGUI screen, and we're going to make some changes here. So basically there is an enumerator for the VGUI screen that you want to get rid of. So something like cVGUI screen enumerator and partition arrow enumerate element in sphere, just get rid of that. And then you want to change the for loop to go for int I equals 0, I less than g_p VGUI screens.count and I++, and then change the c_VGUI screen asterisk p screen to be equal to g_p VGUI screens and then in square brackets I. And that's pretty much all the changes you need to make there. So now you're going to go to player.h, and somewhere in the cbase player class definition, I do it after jump and duck. You want to add a bool called m_p VGUI mode, a bool called get VGUI mode, which is going to input void, and in the curly braces you want to do return m_p VGUI mode, and then add a void called set VGUI mode, which passes through an input of bool new mode, and then in another set of curly braces do m_p VGUI mode equals new mode. Then in player.cpp, at the end of cbasePlayer : spawn, you want to add set VGUI mode to be false. And then later on, you want to go to client command, and then at the end of the else if statements, add else if stricmp, and then in brackets cmd and VGUI mode _ true equals 0, like shown in the video. Then do set VGUI mode to be true, and then return true, and do the same thing except change VGUI mode _ true to VGUI mode _ false, and then change the set VGUI mode to be false. But everything else is exactly the same. Then you want to go to hl2_player.cpp and find where it says update weapon posture, but just with rounded brackets, and then say if get VGUI mode, then m_n buttons and equals tilde, and then in brackets in_attack, and then a vertical line in _attack2. So basically this stops us from shooting or using the secondary attack for our weapons if we are in VGUI mode. And then in the actual update weapon posture function later on, after the line that says cbase entity * aim target equals tr.m_pent, you want to add if get VGUI mode, then if weapon _lower equals false. Nothing's going to happen there because that's a bad condition, and then just return at the end of that. So this lowers our weapon and prevents us from attacking if we are looking at a VGUI screen. So while this might fix up the functionality of looking at screens and being able to interact with them, one thing that's not going to work is inputs and outputs, especially outputs from the screen, because that's what's important here. So this is where I'm going to go into the 2013 Valve developer wiki page, because this goes into how to actually fix this sort of functionality. So in VGUI screen.h on the server, you want to, somewhere in the public section, add a coutput event and call it output1, and then create another coutput event and call it output2, and so on and so forth up to output 16 if you so wish to. And then in VGUI screen.cpp, which is also on the server, in the data desk, do define _output of output1, and then in the set of speech marks, output1. And then the same for output 2 and 3 and 4 and so on up until number 16. So what this is saying is we're going to take our output event called output1, and this is going to be referred to in our Hammer editor in this case as output1. Then you want to go to c_VGUI screen.cpp, and in cVGUI screen panel : on command, you want to near the top add if, then in brackets stricmp, and then in brackets command, comma, and then in speech marks 81 equals 0, or, which is the two vertical lines, stricmp, and then brackets command, comma, then in speech marks 82, and so on in the style I show in the video up until number 16 if you so wish to. I'm only going to 2 because I'm going to just deal with stopping and starting or opening and closing something in this case, so you only really need 2 outputs for that. And then in this if statement you want to do char end index, and it's an array of size 8, then do I to a, so itoa, and then in brackets this arrow get entity, arrow end index, comma end index and 10, then do char new command, which is an array of size 16, and is set this to equal, in curly braces, like 2 apostrophes with a space in the middle. Then do strcat of new command and command, strcat of new command, and then just speech marks with nothing in, like a space in the middle between them. Then strcat of new command and end index, and then do engine arrow client cmd _ unrestricted, and in brackets this is a const _ cast, and then the less than and greater than signs, char asterisks, and then in brackets after that new command. Then do base class on command of new command and then return. Then you want to go to player.cpp on the server, and with all the hashtag includes at the top of the file, add in hashtag include VGUI screen.h, and then again in client command where we just did the else if, for the VGUI mode _true and false, you want to do something like else if, then in brackets stricmp, in brackets cmd, comma, and then in speech marks out1 equals 0, and then int index equals a to I of args, and then in square brackets 1. Basically just copy and paste what I show in the video. It should end somewhere in the middle with something like screen arrow output 1 dot fire output, and then in brackets this comma null. And then if you have multiple outputs, in my case I only have another output, so I'll just copy and paste all of this that I show in the video, and then change out1 for out2, and then output 1 for output 2, and you can copy and paste that up to 16 times. Yeah, it gets pretty long and tedious, I know, but that's why I'm only doing 2 in this case. And so after this, I'm going to go into my base.fgd file for the source SDK single player 2013. You can create your own custom FGD if you want to, but I'm just going to modify the base because that's easier. And for VGUI _screen _base, after input setting active, you just want to add something like output 1, then in brackets void, colon, and then in speech marks, fire output 1, and then do the same sort of thing for output 2, 3, 4, 5, up until number 16. And so at this point, we're going to need a VGUI screen to use as a demonstration. And there is one already provided, which is just a basic VGUI screen. I've modified some of these so it uses materials from Cinepisode's Emergence just so you can see exactly what's going on. But the concept is you have a background material, which is a control name of material image, and then a material button, which, in this case by default it's dismantle, but you can change it to say start button with the field name being start and the label text being start. But the key thing is a command. And in this case, I'm going to change the commands to be out1 for a start button and out2 for the stop button. And so if you now go into the Hammer editor, and I've just got a default scene here with a cylindrical rotating entity and a VGUI screen. If I go into the VGUI screen entity and go into the properties, then one of the things I can do is do in the outputs tab, add output 1. I've called the rotating entity rotator, and then start. And then for output 2, select the rotator, but stop in this case. And so if you compile the map and then build the solution in Visual Studio, it should work if I've explained this well enough and you've followed the on-screen text. Hopefully I can make sense of all the steps that I've tried to do and what's worked and what hasn't. But in theory, it should build with no problems whatsoever. And if you go to where your VGUI screen is located, in my case there is a start button and a stop button, and the rotator stops when you click on the stop button, and it starts up if you press the start button. Unfortunately, with the way this is implemented, there's no cursor on the VGUI screen, so you can't really see what you're clicking at. And the materials don't change. So for example, if you hover over the start button, it doesn't change material like it's supposed to. And when you press the button, the material doesn't change as it's supposed to. So those are two things I don't know how to fix with this. But if you have a weapon, for example, and you look at the actual VGUI screen, it lowers and you can't attack. Although the crossbow zooming looks a little weird. That's effectively the VGUI screen being fixed, minus the, images not changing and the cursor crosshair not drawing or not changing or whatever the case is supposed to be for that. It just doesn't do anything, it just disappears. And so with that being said and done, that is effectively how you fix the functionality for VGUI screens in Source 2013. I hope I've explained this well enough. I know I might have fucked up in places and might not have made too much sense, but I hope that you can follow along and get into a position like I show in the video. So thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe and all that good stuff. Take care out there and see you for the next video.